A recent Alzheimer's Association analysis of CDC data found that during the COVID-19 pandemic, there have been 365 more deaths from Alzheimer's and dementia in Nevada than expected. That's a 31.6% increase compared to a 5-year average. This devastating trend is being largely attributed to the isolation the pandemic has brought to both seniors at large, but more specifically to those living in long-term care communities.
In a recent Washington Post report, a husband describes his painful interactions with his wife, who is living with Alzheimer's in a nursing home on lockdown. He cannot see her, but through a glass window, he expresses her severe progression of the disease, and as of late, her inability to recognize him.
This heartbreaking story is just one of many. Seniors both with and without Alzheimer's are experiencing intense isolation and depression. Similar stories are happening right here in Nevada, and many senior advocates, including all of us at Aging and Awesome, are deeply concerned.
To get some clarity, Kai met with one of the state's long-term care ombudsmen. Have a look.
Is your job harder now than ever before?
I think emotionally it's harder.
The job of an ombudsman is to be a voice for those living in long-term care facilities.
Go inside, make sure, visit with the residents, make sure everything's okay, and address any concerns that we can.
Concerns such as food preferences or roommate issues are common, but ombudsmen closely work to ensure people are being properly cared for.
We want to make sure that the residents, one, get the care that they are prescribed and they deserve, and then also with dignity and respect.
And during the pandemic, that has meant ensuring residents have visitation rights when it is safe, as they, too, realize the devastating effects of lockdowns.
A resident hadn't even been outside of the facility since March, and this was in July. And so it was several months that they hadn't even been outside. And so that was really challenging to hear and really heartbreaking.
The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, a federal agency, released nursing home reopening recommendations in May, which provided how facilities were to reopen in phases. In September, CMS released national standards for protecting nursing home residents from the virus, with a clear acknowledgement of the devastation physical separation was having on residents and what to do about it. These standards include how facilities are to closely follow the trends in their county, breaking down how indoor visitation would be allowed based on the county's positivity rate. As for outdoor visitation, the CMS standard says, quote, facilities should create accessible and safe outdoor spaces for visitation, making interaction with friends and family an evolving yet vitally important practice for facility operators.
It still doesn't state that you should lock residents in. There still should be some sort of visitation.
And for different types of facilities means different sets of guidelines and oversights.
Those policies outlined by CMS would be applicable to the skilled nursing facilities. For the other facility types, they are directed by the Bureau of Healthcare Quality and Compliance to review the CDC guidelines, and there's a specific site for assisted living facilities on the CDC website.
Williams Woods explained to me the wonderful relationship the ombudsman have with the several dozen long-term care facilities across Nevada, and said most operators have been working to, of course, mitigate risk of infection for their residents, but also figure out creative ways to ensure some sort of visitation, even if it does not involve physical touch.
Our program, our ombudsman program, used a great deal of our CARES Act funds to purchase Kindle Fire tablets and we distributed those to all the facilities, and we're in the process of delivering our visitation booths to the skilled nursing facilities. We really wanted to do something to help increase the visitation. It can be used inside or outside. If it's rather tall, but it folds down. It doesn't take up a lot of room for storage, and it's pretty easy to set up, and we're really excited to have those out to the facilities.
But of course, many factors play into these visitation stations being able to be used.
Visitation is permitted based on whether or not the facility has a current outbreak of COVID. If they're actively testing for residents and staff for COVID, they may restrict some visitation there. You have to look at the different communities, the counties, the cities within the counties, and then what's going on in the facilities. So it's multi-layer as far as determining who can go in and visit and who can't.
So how can families who are barred from going into a community where their loved one lives make sure that they're being well taken care of?
I think there's a couple of things they can do. I would recommend anybody, regardless of COVID time or not, but to know the staff members that are the key staff members that are important for their loved one's care. But if they really feel that something isn't going well and their gut they just have a gut feeling, give us a call. And we have our helpline. It's 1-888-282-1155.
You can read Medicare's visitation guidelines for skilled nursing facilities and the CDC guidelines for assisted living communities on our website, agingandawesome.com. Just click on the coronavirus link at the top of the homepage.